Welcome to Live Without Limits, Unlock Your Potential. This podcast where we dive into the tools and excuse me. Let's start over. Welcome to Live Without Limits, Unlock Your Potential, the podcast where we dive into the tools and strategies to help you transform your mindset and unlock your full potential. I'm your host, Davida Shinsky, and I'm thrilled to have you here for today's important conversation. We're taking a closer look at the topic that's become more prominent than ever in the 21st century, mental health. As we navigate a fast-paced, interconnected world, and mental health has transitioned from a subject whispered about behind closed doors to one openly discussed in schools, workplaces, and even the media. But how did we get here? And why has mental health become such a significant topic in today's world? Let's rewind for a moment. Historically, mental health was surrounded by stigma, misconceptions, and a lack of resources. People struggled silently, often misunderstood or labeled unfairly. And in the past, seeking help was seen as a sign of weakness rather than strength. But fast forward to today, and we've witnessed a seismic shift. The 21st century has ushered in a new era of awareness where conversations about mental health are more open and people are more willing to acknowledge the importance of the emotional well-being. From groundbreaking movements to the advent of mental health technologies, we're seeking more tools and support than ever before. And while there's still work to be done, we've made remarkable progress in recognizing mental health as an essential part of the overall health. Now, my background is mental health, psychology, and rehabilitation counseling. And I got into it because I grew up in an era when people with disabilities were hidden away and treated as though they were deviant. And because of that, the one thing that I have found is that I often ask, why me? Why me? And I came to the realization that there was a reason why. And my emphasis has always been on how to help other people to live a better quality of life. And I come from a home where if it was up to my mother, I would have lived with her all my life. She would have collected a disability check for me, and I today would be a lost little soul like my older sister. But because my personality was to be very outgoing and always wanting to interact with people, I did not allow her to abuse me the way she wanted to. And until she died, I was pretty much estranged from her. And my attitude was this: I'm better off in the street than being around someone who's constantly negative and who is constantly making me feel that I'm worth next to nothing. And it's one of the reasons why today I'm very independent and I can take care of myself and I can stand up for myself. And just so you know, rehabilitation counseling is basically career counseling for people with disabilities. And that's why, as my career evolved and as technology advanced, today I spend most of my time creating courses on entrepreneurship and on personal development and dealing with issues that keep you from living the best quality of life possible. So today, we're going to explore how this change has come about and why it matters. We'll look at the role of technology, the impact of mental health awareness campaigns, and how the younger generations are reshaping the narrative. So grab your cup of tea and coffee, get comfortable, and join me as we dive into the evolution of mental health in the 21st century. So, a lot of the awareness and self-help industry got started really in the late 60s with the baby boomer generation, because that was the beginning of the awareness of what was going on around us. And the baby boomer generation were the ones who wanted to make a change. So, what is the changing stigma around mental health? As we dive deeper into today's topic, let's start by exploring how societal views on mental health have shifted in the 21st century. This change didn't happen overnight, but it's remarkable how far we've come in just a few decades. Mental health was often treated as a taboo subject. People were hesitant to talk about their struggles, fearing judgment, shame, or being labeled as weak. Mental health issues were frequently misunderstood, with many viewing them as character flaws rather than legitimate health conditions. But over the years, society has begun to understand that mental health is just as important as physical health. The narrative has shifted from just toughen up to it's okay to not be okay. This change has been driven by increased education and awareness, as well as growing acknowledgement that everyone at some point in their lives may face mental health challenges. It is more common to hear people openly discussing their anxiety, depression, or therapy journeys. Social media, for all its flaws, has played a big role in this by creating spaces where people can share their experiences and find communities of support. The role of movements and campaigns in breaking the stigma, a significant factor in the shift has been the rise in mental health movements and campaigns. Organizations like the National Alliance of Mental Health, or NAMI, Mental Health America, and global initiatives like World Mental Health Day have worked tirelessly to normalize conversations about mental health. Campaigns like It's Okay to Not Be Okay and End the Stigma have encouraged people to view mental health struggles as normal and treatable. Celebrities and public figures sharing their personal stories have also had a massive impact. When someone like Simone Biles, Selena Gomez, or Prince Harry talks about their mental health journey, sends a powerful message. If they can open up, so can we. These movements have also highlighted the importance of access to resources, encouraging people to seek therapy, use mental health hotlines, and explore other support systems without shame or hesitation. Increased willingness to seek help and share personal stories. Perhaps one of the most inspiring changes we've seen is the increased willingness of individuals to seek help and share their personal stories. Therapy, once considered taboo, is now seen as a tool for growth and self improvement. People are turning to counseling, online therapy platforms, and support groups to record numbers. Sharing personal stories has become a powerful way to connect and inspire others, whether it's through a heartfelt social media post, a podcast, or even just a conversation with a friend. These stories remind us that we're not alone. They also help break the myth that asking for help is a sign of weakness. On the contrary, seeking help requires immense strength and self awareness. Here's what's really beautiful. Every time someone shares their story, they give permission for others to do the same. It creates a ripple effect, fostering understanding and empathy. We're living in a time where mental health is becoming a priority, not an afterthought. And that's something to celebrate. But the journey doesn't end here. As awareness grows, so does responsibility to ensure that resources, education, and support systems are accessible to everyone. What about you? Have you noticed the shift in how we talk about mental health? Or maybe you've been part of this change by sharing your own story or supporting someone else on their journey. I'd love to hear about it. So let's keep the conversation going. Stay with me as we explore more ways mental health has evolved in the 21st century, including how technology has transformed access to care. Now, that we've talked about how societal views on mental health have shifted, let's explore some of the incredible advancements in mental health care that have emerged in the 21st century, from innovative therapies to groundbreaking technology and holistic approaches. There's no denying that we're living in a time of incredible progress when it comes to taking care of our mental well being. Gone are the days of the one size fits all approach to mental health care. Therapy has evolved to include highly effective evidence based practices that are tailored to the unique needs of individuals. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, is one of the most widely used and researched forms of therapy. CBT helps You identify and challenge negative thought patterns and replace them with healthier, more constructive ways to think of thinking. It particularly is effective for anxiety, depression, or post traumatic stress disorder. DBT, dialectical behavior therapy, originally developed for borderline personality disorder. DBT has expanded to help people with emotional regulation, self destructive behaviors, and interpersonal conflicts. It combines mindfulness techniques with practical tools to manage intense emotions. Trauma informed care. This approach recognizes that every aspect of care, instead of asking what's wrong with you, trauma informed care asks what happened to you. This perspective helps create a self and supportive environment for healing. Now, I'm going to go back a few years because prior to this, with the beginning of the self help industries, you had transactional analysis that was that talks about the parent, the adult, and the child. The child says, I want. The adult says, I am able to. And the parent says, you should. And you need to fill out those things and say, think of the things that your parents always told you you should do. Where were the positive things? Where were the negative things? Where were the conflicts there? Do the same with I am able to. Do the same thing with I want and see where your conflicts are. Then you have psychodrama, and that is a way that you can discuss and paint a picture of a story and act it out. And you got your alter ego that kind of stands behind you so that as you're talking, they pick up on things and they say things that you can either say, yes, it was that way, or no, it wasn't. But the idea is to act out a scene where you get to take better control of the situation instead of constantly being made the victim. These modern therapies have transformed the way we treat mental health, focusing not just on symptoms, but on the root causes and empowering people with the tools they need to thrive. One of the most significant advances is mental health care in recent years has been the rise of teletherapy. Teletechnology has made therapy more accessible than ever before, breaking down the barriers like cost, location, and stigma. With platforms like BetterHelp, Talkspace, and others, people can now connect with licensed therapists from the comfort of their own homes. This is particularly beneficial for those in remote areas or with limited access to in-person services. When I was studying psychology and mental health in the 70s, you had the community mental health centers. And many of them today are the ones that were the parent to what we call BetterHelp and Talkspace. Teletherapy also offers greater flexibility, allowing individuals to schedule sessions that fit into their busy lives. During the pandemic, teletherapy became a lifeline for many of its popularity has only grown since. Beyond therapy sessions, technology has given us mental health apps that offer mindfulness exercises, mood tracking, and even guided therapy techniques. Apps like Calm and Headspace are helping millions manage stress and anxiety on the go, while traditional medications like antidepressants and anti-anxiety drugs continue to be effective for many. There have been exciting developments in this area as well. Ketamine therapy. And ketamine has been in the news because Perry, I can't think of his first name, but the one from Friends, he was a drug addict who got on ketamine to kick the drug habit, but he never really quite kicked it. And, it was Matthew Perry. So that kind of brought that up. But let's look at what it can do. Ketamine, once used primarily as an anesthetic, is now being used in controlled settings to treat treatment-resistant depression and PTSD with remarkable results. Psychedelic assisted therapy, which is research into substances like psilocybin from magic mushrooms and MDMA, has shown promise in treating conditions like depression, anxiety, and PTSD. These therapies are still in clinical trials, but represent a potential breakthrough in the mental health care. At the same time, we're seeing a growing emphasis on alternative and holistic treatments, mindfulness practices, techniques like meditation, yoga, and deep breathing are widely recognized for reducing stress and improving mental clarity. They're often integrated into traditional therapy for well-rounded approach. Holistic care approaches that consider the mind-body connection are gaining popularity. This includes nutritional counseling, acupressure, and exercise programs tailored to mental health needs. These alternatives don't just focus on treating symptoms. They aim to promote overall well-being, helping you feel balanced and empowered. It's incredible to see how far mental health has come in the 21st century, whether it's through modern therapies, teletherapy, or alternative treatments. The opinions available, or rather, the options available today are more effective, inclusive, and accessible than ever before. If you're on a mental health journey, know that there's a world of support and resources waiting for you. And if you're curious of any of these therapies or tools that I mentioned, take some time to explore them. They might be the key to unlocking your own potential. Coming up We'll discuss how the younger generations are driving the conversation about mental health and what that means in the future. Technology has revolutionized nearly every aspect of our lives, and mental health is no exception. From mindfulness apps to teletherapy platforms, we now have powerful digital tools at our fingertips. But as helpful as technology can be, it also comes with challenges, especially when it comes to social media. Let's explore both the positive and negative impacts of technology on mental health and discuss how we can strike a healthy balance. One of the greatest benefits of technology is that its ability to make mental health resources more accessible than ever. Mindfulness apps like Calm, Headspace, and Insight Timer have introduced millions of people to meditation and stress reduction techniques. These tools make it easy to practice mindfulness anytime, anywhere, whether it's a quick, healthy exercise during a busy day or a guided meditation to help you sleep. Therapy apps, platforms like BetterHelp and Talkspace allow people to connect with licensed therapists online. These apps remove barriers like ge- geography or long wait times, making therapy more convenient and accessible. Mental health tracking apps like MoodPath, Zenvelo, or even journaling apps help you monitor your mental health, track mood changes, and identify patterns over time. These tools provide valuable insights, and even the therapies tailor your approaches to specific needs. Technology has given us the ability to take charge of our mental health in ways that were unimaginable a few decades ago. But there's another side to this story. While technology can be helpful resource, it can also harm our mental health, especially when it causes to social media. Comparison culture. Social media often presents a highly real of people's lives, leading to constant comparisons. Seeing curated, idealized versions of others can make us feel inadequate, anxious, or even depressed. And basically, what it is that people can say whatever they want on the internet, and you can either buy into it and it can make you feel inadequate, or you can see it for what it is. Doom scrolling, the endless stream of negative news and content that can lead to increased stress and a sense of hopelessness. Validation and self worth. Many people, especially younger generations, tie their self esteem to likes, comments, and shares. The external validation can create a fragile sense of self worth, leaving you vulnerable to criticism or rejection. Studies have shown that heavy social media use is linked to a higher rate of anxiety, depression, and poor sleep. While these platforms can connect us, they can also isolate us if not used mindfully. Now, the key to harnessing technology's benefits while minimizing its downwards balance. Here are a few ways to create a healthier relationship with technology. Set boundaries. Limit your social media use by setting time restrictions or designating tech free hours in your day. Practice digital detoxing. Take regular breaks from social media or technology altogether to reset your mind and reduce overstimulation. Be intentional with your apps. Use apps and platforms that genuinely support your mental health, like mindfulness or therapy apps, and avoid these that trigger negative emotions. And curate your feed. Follow accounts that inspire and uplift you, and unfollow or mute these that cause stress or comparison. Now, what I do is I happen to have a program that what it does is it's part of a challenge, and it's Live Without Limits, Unlock Your Power. And I'm constantly putting motivational statements up there. I would do it on Twitter until Twitter stopped me, saying I was violating their terms of agreement. So, with Musk now owning Twitter, it's not a platform that should be widely used. Be intentional with your apps. Use apps that and platforms that genuinely support your mental health, like mindfulness or therapy apps, and avoid those that trigger negative emotions. Curate your feed. Follow accounts that inspire and uplift, and unfollow or mute those that cause stress or comparison. Reconnect offline. Balance your digital life with prioritizing in person interactions, hobbies, and time in nature. Now, before I go on, what I want to say here is because so many of the kids today have cell phones and they text each other during the day, that what's happened that even when they're sitting down at a table, instead of talking to each other, they will text each other. So that's another way that technology has advanced, but not in the best way. Technology is a powerful tool, but like any tool, it is about how we use it. When we're intentional about leveraging apps and digital resources to support our mental health and mindful of how social media impacts us, we can create a healthier, more balanced relationship with technology. Here's my challenge to you. Take a moment today to evaluate your tech habits. Are there any apps that that genuinely support your mental health? And are there areas where you could create better boundaries? Small changes can make a big difference. Coming up, we'll explore how mental health awareness is growing among younger generations and what that means for the future of mental health care. As we continue exploring how mental health has changed in the 21st century, one area that's seen significant growth is in the workplace. More than ever, companies are recognizing the importance of supporting their employees' mental health, from implementing new initiatives to offering greater flexibility. The modern workplace is evolving to prioritize mental health well being. Let's dive into how these changes are making a difference. Not long ago, mental health in the workplace was rarely discussed, but today, more organizations are stepping up to create environments where employees feel supported and valued. Mental health programs. Many companies are introducing employee assistance programs or EAPs, which provide free or low cost counseling and mental health services. These programs make it easier for employees to access help where they need it. Workshops and training. Companies are hosting mental health workshops, mindfulness sessions, and stress management training to equip employees with tools to cope with challenges. Some businesses are running mental health awareness campaigns to reduce stigma and encourage open conversations. This not only supports employees, but also fosters a culture of acceptance and understanding. By investing in those initiatives, companies are sending a clear message. Mental health matters, and it's okay to ask for help. Another major shift has been the rise of flexible working conditions, which allow employees to maintain a healthier work life balance. Remote work options. The pandemic accelerated the shift to remote work, and many companies have kept these options in place. Remote work allows employees to create a schedule that works best for you and your mental and physical health. Mental health days. More organizations are now offering designated mental health days as part of their benefit packages. These are days when employees can take time off to recharge without needing to explain or justify their absence. Flexible hours, allowing employees to set your own hours or work in a way that accommodates your personal life, which can significantly reduce stress and improve productivity. These changes show that companies are beginning to understand that flexibility isn't a luxury, it's a necessity for supporting mental well being. The best workplace are those that adapt to the changing needs of their teams. Here are some ways companies are evolving to support mental health. creating safe spaces. Many organizations are setting up wellness rooms or quiet spaces where employees can take a break, meditate, or simply decompress during the workday. Leadership training. Managers and leaders are being trained to recognize signs of mental health struggles and to approach employees with empathy and support. Transparent communication. Companies and normal are normalizing mental health discussions by including them in team meetings, newsletters, and one-on-one check-ins. This creates an open and accepting culture. Inclusive benefits. Forward-thinking organizations are expanding their benefits to include mental health coverage, therapy reimbursement, and access to mindfulness apps. Ongoing feedback. Co- Companies are actively seeking employee input through surveys and focus groups to ensure that your mental health initiatives align with the real needs. These efforts not only improve employee well being, but also lead to greater productivity, job satisfaction, and retention. A workplace that values mental health is a workplace where people want to stay and grow. It's inspiring to see how workplaces are evolving to meet the mental health needs of employees. These changes are more than just perks, they are an acknowledgement that mental health is a crucial part of the overall health. If you're an employee, take a moment to explore what mental health resources are available in your workplace. And if you're an employer, think about how you can create a culture that prioritizes well being. Even small steps like offering a mental health day or hosting a wellness workshop, which can make a big difference. As we explore the evolution of mental health in the 21st century, one group stands out as a driving force for change. The younger generation, particularly Generation Z and the millennials. These individuals are breaking down barriers, normalizing conversations about mental health, and inspiring meaningful change in schools, communities, and beyond. Let's take a closer look at how they are leading the way. Now, also, remember this, that with the 21st century, you're seeing a lot more shootings in the school, and you're seeing a lot more grief counselors coming into play to help young children deal with what's been happening in the schools. Because prior to that, when you saw shootings and murder, it was left up to the individual to deal with their loss with no support system. Younger generations have grown up in a world that's more open to discussing mental health than ever before. They've embraced the idea that mental health is just as important as physical health, and they're unafraid to speak out about these struggles and seek help, breaking the stigma Generation Z and millennials are changing outdated beliefs about mental health by sharing their experiences on social media, in podcasts, and through other platforms. Their willingness to be vulnerable is breaking the stigma and showing others that they are not alone. Advocacy and activism. This generation isn't just talking about mental health, they're advocating for systematic change, from lobbying for better mental health policies to organizing community events and campaigns. They're pushing for a world where mental health and mental health care is accessible and stigma free, prioritizing self care. Younger generations have also embraced the concept of self care as an essential part of the mental health issues. Whether it's practicing mindfulness, journaling, or taking mental health days, they're setting an example on how to prioritize well being in everyday life. The openness and activism are inspiring older generations to rethink how we approach mental health, creating a ripple effect to change across society. Another major factor is the shift in the role of education in open discussions in schools and communities. Mental health education in schools. Many schools are now incorporating mental health education into their curriculums. Students are learning about stress management, emotional regulation, and how to seek help when needed. Programs like these equip young people with the tools to take care of their mental health from an early age. Peer support programs. Schools and universities are implementing peer support initiatives where students can talk to trained peers along their mental health journey. These programs create a safe space for open dialogue and help reduce fear of seeking help. Community conversations. Beyond schools, community organizations and local governments are hosting workshops, support groups, and awareness events. These spaces encourage people of all ages to come together, share their experiences, and learn from one another. Parents and educators joining the conversation. Younger generations are also helping to educate their parents, teachers, mentors about the importance of mental health. This integrates dialogue in helping to create a more understanding and supportive environment for everyone. As we wrap up this episode, let's take a look, a moment, and reflect on everything that we've discussed about the evolution of mental health over the past 2 decades. It's truly remarkable to see how far we've come in the making mental health priority in our lives, our workspaces, and our communities. We've seen significant shifts, including a growing openness to discussing mental health, thanks to the efforts of advocates, public figures, and younger generations. Now, I want to invite you to take a moment to reflect on your own mental health journey. How has your understanding of the mental health evolved over the years? What steps have you taken to care for yourself or support others? If you're just beginning to explore your mental health, know that there are so many modern resources available to help you, whether it's reaching out to a therapist, downloading a mindfulness app, or simply having an honest conversation with a trusted friend. Every step that you take matters. Remember, caring for your mental health isn't just about addressing challenges, it's about building a foundation for, for a fulfilling, balanced life.